It was nighttime on the Sodor Colony. All the engines were finishing up their jobs and returning to their sheds. But the engines at Tithmith's sheds were restless. Gordon was pulling an express to the mainland and wouldn't be back until very late at night. But the other engines wanted to stay up for him. "What we need is a story," suggested Emily. "It'll help pass the time." "Oh, yes, but what kind of story?" "As long as it's got a happy ending, anything goes." "Anyone got a story?" "Well, surely someone has some kind of story, right?" "I have a story," said Edward. "It's very old, but I think it's one of my favorites." "Well, then what's it about?" asked James. "It's about the Northwestern Railway. You guys surely remember that, don't you?" "The
God, I
Northwestern?
love the
Wow,
slow.
why, how could I forget the Northwestern? It was my very first railway. We spent so much time here. If it wasn't for the Northwestern, I would have felt like crap. Of course I remember it." "Oh, good. We all remember the Northwestern. Now, this story I'm about to tell took place about a century ago, or at least that's when it started. It's a pretty long story, and, well, since it took place a century ago, that means a lot of us weren't in it yet. But I personally consider it a very interesting story, and this is the story that Edward told. A long time ago, there was a little railway called the Northwestern. However, it wasn't quite a railway yet. It was still under construction. The man in charge of the railway, and also overseeing production, was the Fat Controller, also known as Sir Topham Hatt. So far, everything was coming out fine. The rails were laid according to plan, and the railway was unfolding beautifully before his eyes. But there was a problem. There was no engine on the railway yet. This meant that all they had were workmen, and that made production go a lot slower than desired. Eventually, their foreman went to talk to the Fat Controller. "My men can't carry on like this," he complained. "If we really want the railway to expand, we need an engine to help us out." Sir Topham Hatt considered the prospect. He had always thought about buying an engine, but he never brought himself to do it. Now, though, he could see there was a growing need for one. A few days later, he met with a man to discuss about buying an engine. "So, I'm pretty sure you can see that this railway is certainly growing," he said. "I suppose you're right. Although, are you sure you really want an engine right now? I mean, I don't want you to have some bad timing." "Oh no, I think we're quite ready for an engine. Do you have any in mind?" Well, I do have one engine right now. He was built by the Furnace Railway, Class K2. Maybe you'd know those types as a larger seagull, and he's really hard-working. But he is small and perhaps a little weak, and I'm not sure if he would be fully able to complete the building of your railway. He's a bit of a shunter engine, actually. Maybe a better time to buy him is when you need someone for your goods yard." "I really don't think I have many options right now. I suppose I'll just purchase the one that you mentioned. It does sound alright, at least." So the two made the final arrangements, and the Fat Controller was confirmed to be getting a new engine. A few days later, the workmen were still working on the line when an engine puffed in. It was an engine they had never seen before. "Hello," the engine said. "I'm Edward." "Are you the engine Sir Topham Hatt told us about?" asked the workman. "Well, I suppose I am." "Edward, our new engine. Welcome to our railway," greeted the foreman. "As you can see, we are quite busy in expanding our boundaries and we need your help." Edward was put to work right away, shunting and hauling freight cars and coaches until the day was over. That evening, Edward returned to the shed, tired but triumphant. No one had gotten around to building an engine shed yet, so he just stayed in one of the goods sheds. He was thankful to be alone. It was very nice and relaxing after a long day's work. His driver and fireman soon left him, and he fell asleep at once.